go ahead. It's right at 11 o'clock. Let's get started. My name's John Lee with the St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association, and we're happy to have Kathy Davis of Davis and Travellini LLC for our weekly update. So Kathy, please update us. Thank you for being here.
Okay, yeah, Dwayne has already said the hot topic is the CDC stay of eviction extension to January 1st. And, you know, of course, everybody's calling us because they see the headlines or they read what they say in the papers and, you know, they're concerned. But when you read the whole order, and I will email that to John so he can post it on your website, you see that the tenants have to sign an affidavit under penalty of perjury stating certain things, including that their failure to pay is related to the pandemic, that they've applied for aid, all the aid they can, that they're making partial payments if they can, and you know, that kind of thing. And frankly, for most of our problem cases, we don't think that affidavit is going to hold up. If they sign it, you know, they're committing perjury if they haven't done these things. And thus far, we have not gotten a single signed affidavit from any tenant. So we have not stopped filing suit or filing for executions on anything as a result of that. And we're not going to. If your tenant gives you one of those affidavits, or if we get one, we would, you know, let the landlord know or let us know or your lawyer know if you get one from the tenant. But I would suspect that if you put these people under oath and question them about some of the things in the affidavit, a lot of them would not be able to, you know, say that they've done it. Now, if it convinces some of these people to go and apply for the aid that's available, which is supposed to be paid to landlords, you know, and that kind of thing to get some or all of their rent paid, then great, because that's a requirement under the stay that they have applied for assistance. So we hope that, you know, that it will have that positive effect. But other than that, unless they qualify for all the conditions under the affidavit, we don't think we're going to see too many stays from that. You know, the bigger stays are our local ones. I'll start with the city. Judge Burleson extended the stay in the city another month. Hey, hang on a second. Hey, Donald, can you close my door? Donald, can you close my door? Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Heather. Sorry, people were outside. I don't know what they're doing, partying.
They got masks on?
Yeah, they do. But some days my office is like a big kindergarten. And I wish they were learning remotely. But anyway, so Judge Burleson, he called me and talked to me about it before he extended his stay in the city. He kept the exceptions for 441s and commercial, but he extended his stay another month. And I'll tell you why he did it. Because the city has not been processing the tenant assistance payments very quickly. We had heard that they had only processed $300,000 in payments out of over $7 million they have available as of Monday. Mm-hmm. That's not our fault, mm-hmm. But I feel like Judge Burleson might not extend it again, you know, if everybody can't get their act together. We've heard different things about that also, that we've heard that the United Way has taken over the processing, which might be good, because they have their hands out to all these agencies and, you know, are used to processing this kind of assistance. So another resource that you might want to give to tenants who need assistance is 211. That's the United Way number. They can call that and, you know, explain their issues, and the United Way will hook them up with an agency that can help them. Now, Chris, I think Chris is going to come on the line here in a minute, but I think he did have a couple of landlords get some payments this week. I don't think it was a huge amount of money, but I think he's had some success. There's also a friend of mine who works for the city pointed out to me that the Missouri Municipal League has money. I didn't spend a lot of time on their website, but I didn't really find the application. But you might want to this might be money that's available to landlords who are, not receiving rents because of the pandemic. So I would check that out. The city of St. Louis is also supposed to have some money for businesses, but again, I haven't had a chance to track that down. I'm not aware to date of any landlord that's gotten any money, from any of that. The city cases are, Chris has been doing these mediations with CRC, and supposedly they're doing it so that when a deal is made, the money comes to the landlord, not through the tenant, because we know what would happen if it comes through the tenant. But they would be having one of those illegal parties. But I know that there's deals that have been made. I'm not sure if any of our landlords have actually gotten the money or if it's just been committed to them.
I got a
And
question here.
Yes, Dwayne.
Is this outside of the people with government-backed loans, or does this only apply to the government-backed loans still?
You mean the CDC or the city and county stays?
Any of these stays?
Okay. They all apply to everybody.
Wrong answer, but thanks.
So let's move on to the county. The county is where we're having some fun because we have gotten a bunch of money from landlord clients to take the county up on a writ to see if we can get their eviction stay removed. The difference between the city and the county is that Judge Burleson in the city is, opened it up again in July. So some people did get cleared and has been doing these a month at a time. And he really wants to put the hammer down on the city and everybody to get this assistance out to the landlord. And he has exempted, the big problem evictions, the 441s. But in the county, it's this across the board eviction stay, and it's been in effect since I think March 16th or maybe 20th. And the judge reiterated that stay in a new administrative order a couple of weeks ago, where he basically said that there will be no evictions in the county until the county gets to phase 2. And the county's currently in phase 1. And every time someone gets tested positive for COVID who works in the county court system, they stay in phase 0 another 2 weeks. And a big problem that we have with that is that part of the county court system includes 2 detention facilities, the juvenile detention facility and the county jail. So it's not just like you have this static group of people and they're not letting the public in and it's just the employees that are coming to work every day, but you have people who are being detained, police officers who are coming in, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's unlikely that we're going to get a 2-week period where there is nobody testing positive. And even if we did that, he also is considering other things like, all the statistics that you've heard about COVID, the hospitalization rate, the test rate, the infection rate, all those things. Judge Burton has issued these orders that go on and on, paragraph after paragraph about all the stats about COVID. And I feel like it's not taking into account all we've learned about COVID since March, which is, generally, if you're not an idiot and you wear a mask and you're outside most of the time, you're going to be fine. One of the things that's ironic about the eviction stay in the county is he hasn't stayed service of process. So the sheriffs can still serve process. And when you look at those 2 things, when they do an eviction, they schedule the time with the landlord, they go out there, the landlord's supposed to be standing by, ready to change the locks, etc. The sheriff goes in briefly into the unit and sees if there's any people there, and if they're there, he makes them leave. And then he's on his way. This is not an extended. Yes, he could go in and there'd be somebody without a mask, but he's not take precautions. They can wear gloves. That they can do whatever they do. And I think in a lot of the situations, the people aren't there, or they come up voluntarily, and so you don't have that contact. So when you contrast that with service of process, that's the deputy who passed away, Reggie. who we all knew and liked, but he was doing service of process. So he was going to many, many more locations every day, and often going inside. You know, when they go inside to serve process, they might be serving a registered agent where they have to wait inside for a long period of time. And it's kind of the same thing. They don't have any guarantee that where they go, everyone will be wearing a mask. But, you know, to me, that's almost a more risky thing. It is a more risky thing, or at least as risky as the eviction serving.
Mhm.
So we took a test case where we have 2 defendants who defaulted maybe as long ago as December, but we filed suit in February and got a judgment in March for several $1,000s in rent. We filed the execution, and just very quickly after we filed the execution, the stay was put in place, so it didn't get executed on. These people have told their landlord that they are not going to pay, and they are not going to move until the sheriff comes. And I guess they're aware, because of everything being in the media, that the sheriff isn't coming. And we have been unable to get Judge Burton to even agree to have the sheriff's post the premises or issue it to the sheriff so that we can have the police come or anything. So we picked that as our first test case, and we did a motion to issue writ of execution, because the statute requires that the judge issue an execution for possession once the landlord has a judgment. So the judge, our trial court judge, Judge Lassiter, who's a very good judge, you know, his hands are tied because he has to submit to the order from the presiding judge. So he had to deny our motion, but that is our ticket to go to the Court of Appeals and see if the Court of Appeals will lift this stay on evictions in St. Louis County. Now, I would say we have maybe a 25% chance of winning this, of winning the writ part. You know, and it's more, I mean, we're clearly legally correct, but this is more for reasons of, you know, all these judges know each other. Nobody wants to say to Judge Burton, you're doing a bad job running your circuit. He's got the biggest circuit in the state. You know, he did have a deputy sheriff who died. I mean, I think they might be reluctant to tell him, no, you got to do this. But we're going to make our best arguments. One of 3 things will happen. They'll grant the writ, in which case we should be able to start doing executions in the county. They'll deny the writ, in which case we can go to the Supreme Court. Or didn't I say there were 3 things? Now I forget what the 3rd thing was, but I think those are the 2 things that we really think will happen. There's a chance that we won't be able to go to the Supreme Court, but I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court is going to hear this. And I will tell you this also, since we're just among other judges, other lawyers, courthouse personnel, you know, that kind of thing, who think that the Judge Burton's order is wrong with respect to the landlords. So we think there is some sentiment, you know, that could help us. If we are not successful with this writ, we have a lot of test cases. We have a lot of cases that are pre-pandemic, where people are just camping out, refusing to communicate, you know, that kind of thing. Our second test case will be to go to federal court and see if federal court will lift the stay. That will be more time consuming and expensive. So we decided to try the writ way first. So it's possible by next Friday, I'll know what's happened to the initial writ. We hope to have it on file early next week. So you know what I'm going to be doing on Labor Day? I'm going to be laboring here at Davis and Travellini, working on our writ application. So we have some good lawyers working with us on it, and keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully we'll get it.
Okay. Wow.
Kathy, can I ask a quick question? Who were we to make those checks out to for your fund?
Davis.
How did you want those?
Davis and Travellini. We're keeping the money in our lawyer's trust account. We're keeping track of everybody who paid. If we don't need it all, we're going to refund, you know, according to the percentage that you have that's left over, you know.
Sure, but just make the checks out to your firm then?
Yes. And do you have our address?
It's on your business card, I'm assuming.
It is 1420 Strassner, 63144. We've been here 15 years, so there could possibly be older business cards floating around, but hopefully not.
It's the one that we've got on our website, so I'm hoping that's the right one. John,
Okay.
all right, super, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and who knows with the mail, right? But we have gotten in several $1,000s. I don't even know what the total is. It's close to 10,000, I think.
Mhm. Yes, please contribute. This is so very helpful right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, do
Yeah.
do what you can. Thank you.
We feel like at least by raising the issue, sometimes you get denied, but then because you've raised it, maybe the judge will back off a little bit. I mean, we're just hoping that it helps somewhat. We surely don't want to go to January 1st with no evictions or beyond then.
Mhm.
I personally am a little skeptical about vaccines by November.
Mhm.
Just scientifically, that seems unlikely to be happening or to be safe.
Mhm.
So,
I think this is based on a question. I was
Sure.
actually speaking to another attorney about this yesterday, and he's,
no, you're cheating on me.
I'm sorry, you're not the only attorney I talked to. He thought that this order was unconstitutional, something about taking, and that
Yes.
it could be challenged. Do you think that's a possibility that somewhere somebody's going to challenge this order?
When you say this order, are you talking about the CDC order?
Yeah, sorry, the CDC order.
Yes. I mean, I actually think that the administrative orders staying evictions are also possibly unconstitutional as a taking. It's a taking without due process. The government constitutionally can't take your property without due process. And they're basically saying, we're not going to give you your property and we're not giving you due process to do this. You didn't get to have a hearing to find out if this eviction should be stayed. They just issued these orders across the board. Now, there's some exception to that that's applicable in a pandemic. The government does have police powers, and in emergencies, they can use those police powers to do things like, curfews or, shutdowns and, that kind of thing. So they do have police powers to do some of those things. But when you think about it, when you tell someone you have to wear a mask if you're going in a public place, you're not really taking anything away from them. They can still choose whether they want to go in that place or not.
Mhm.
If you're owning a private business, I think you have an absolute right to say what people have to do when they come in. But I think the mask orders, therefore, are probably constitutional. But when they say you can't have your property back, even though you got a judgment and you have a right to it and the law says you should have it, that is technically a taking. So do the police powers allow them to across the board say, no, you can't have this? It is a constitutional issue. And that's where, if you heard the part where I was talking about our next step after the writ, if we absolutely lose on the writ, our next thing will be to grab another test case and file in federal court. And I may have said this to you guys before, but my thought about federal court is maybe we'll get one of the Trump judges and they'll do away with the stay and say, yeah, you have to be evicted and you can't wear a mask either. Although I don't know, now that the CDC has issued this, it's hard to know how anybody is falling on the side of this case. But I think that the conservative judges might be more inclined to protect property rights and to view the taking issue as a thing. And like I said, we got good test cases here where we have people who have thousands of dollars of rent, who are refusing to, pay it all, refusing to move. And, most frustrating, refusing to enter into any kind of pay arrangement, refusing to apply for any of the help that's available.
Mhm.
That's very disturbing. And there was an article in the New York Times yesterday in a place called The Upshot on the New York Times, where it was talking about, it actually had a tenant lawyer from Legal Services in Ohio saying, this isn't going to be good for the landlords either, and we're going to lose a lot of affordable housing. Now, that's what I've been saying all along, but that's absolutely right. Smaller investors are going to get flushed out of the market. Big developers are going to buy the properties. Rents are going to go up. They're going to be more strict on screening and not give people a break or work with them because they have to have, uniform standards. And that's going to be a problem.
Well, the other thing,
I saw Chris. Where did you go?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did somebody have a question?
yeah, this is David. The other thing that if I read it right, that this eviction has nothing to do with foreclosures. If property's foreclosed on, they can still be evicted. So the tenant not paying rent, the property doesn't get paid for, bank forecloses, they're still evicted. So I don't understand the whole idea of how this is going to save the tenants.
Order, the CDC order is definitely exclusive of the non-rent paying evictions. So, you know, probably 90 to 95% of the evictions we do are for non-payment of rent. So it covers all of those. But it says it doesn't cover, you know, people who are being evicted for other reasons. Now, there is federal law, and Chris might be more up to date on this than I am, and I'm going to call on him next, about how long you have to wait after a foreclosure to evict a tenant. But so that would still apply. That hasn't been overturned. But I think the CDC, they're exempted from that under the CDC. Chris, could you fill us in on what's been going on with the mediations and the money getting paid out? And maybe you're more up to date than I am on what the status with the foreclosure evictions is.
Well, the easy ones, the foreclosure ones, that's 90 days. You have to give them a 90-day notice or to the end of their lease, which is ever longer. So anybody gets foreclosed on, if a tenant has a year-long lease, they get to be allowed to stay so long as they pay their rent. Now we've seen getting people out for non-payment of rent is not easy right now. So the foreclosure would give a tenants, even those who aren't on a lease, at least 90 days to find new housing before they could even be sued after a foreclosure sale. And that's something to keep in mind even after COVID, if you're buying properties at foreclosure, and knowing who's in there. If it's owner occupied, you can move forward right away, but tenant occupied, you are going to be taking whatever, have in there. I know a lot of times you don't know who's in there, what the status of their lease is. And, most of the time that's going to mean they're on month to month, but they could be sitting there with 6-8 months left on their lease, and you'd be bound to, working with them. To talk about what's going on with the mediations, we continue to do mediations. There has been some positive movement and money become available. I have gotten 2 or 3 approved for some conditional funding, only $1,000 a piece through this mediation site. They have access to an immediate funding source. Unfortunately, we can't get the money until everything else is paid off, because accepting the money is tantamount to waiving everything else. So what they've been doing is sending me pre-approval letters and saying, let us know when the tenant is down to the last $1,000 and we'll send you that check. We anticipate the rest of the money to start moving more quickly, according to what they're telling me, now that Catholic Charities and United Way are more involved in the administration of the money and it's not left to the city government. So hopefully that means we start seeing more money into the hands of landlords from this CARES Act thing. If you're going to get punished and can't evict anybody, at least you should be getting paid during the process. So hopefully that starts moving. But the mediations are, they're hit and miss. Most of them we've been able to settle. Some of them, the tenants are not all with it enough to be able to sign things. We tried to go through one yesterday where the gal told the mediator that she made more now than pre-COVID, so I pretty much tanked any request for funding, and so that will likely be forced to trial, and who knows when I can get her out. But it is, you kind of have to see how it goes. But I would say if you are getting approached by anybody to do mediation, go ahead and take them up on it. It's been, they're usually pretty helpful, and they got some, well-intentioned attorneys working for them.
Real quickly, if anyone's interested, there is the National Real Estate Investors Association has an emergency webinar that they're doing. It's 1:00 Eastern time today. You can register for it at if you just go to their website. I get the email, so I'm sure you can find it on National REIA, just nationalreia.org. So it might be something that folks want to listen to, just to kind of see what their take and what they're doing at the national level to fight this. They also have a thing that says stay informed at www.nationalreia.org/COVID-19-update. So just a thought if anybody wants to check those out.
Yeah,
Can you put that in the chat box?
I would like to see that.
Yeah, let me see if I can log on. I'm actually on the phone, so let me see if I can log on and get in the meeting now and put that in.
I put it in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to check that out. I reached out to the lawyer in Atlanta for CoStar to see if they were planning on anything, and I haven't heard back. And I know that another landlord lawyer who's working with us on the writ and the federal lawsuit is involved with the St. Louis Apartment Association, and he doesn't think that they are going to leap in and help us, but maybe the National Apartment Association will. We don't know yet. And I wanted to tell you that I just got an email from the U.S. District Court, the federal court here, and the presiding judge of the federal court, Rodney Sipple, my law school classmate, has signed an order today allowing public entry into all U.S. district courthouses with social distancing and mask requirements. So federal court is running ahead of the rest of us.
I think it was support.
I know.
And Chris, did you have some more stuff for us on the city? Or do
Well,
you have anything on St. Charles and Jefferson also?
St. Charles and Jefferson are, they're doing what they're doing. I mean, obviously, I'm sure Kathy went over the CDC stuff with everybody, so that, could come into play. I imagine St. Charles and Jefferson might be more open to challenging declarations than taking them at face value than the city would be in the county.
Where's the other what?
But the news I have for the city is we did get our additional judge approved for my dockets for the next 2 months.
Good. Yeah.
I just found out about that today.
I had asked Rex for that.
And yeah, so they got him approved for the next 2 months. So we will be able to get more dockets. Unfortunately, I do believe that for the most part is going to be limited to the bulk filing landlord attorneys. So, if you're filing on your own, you're probably looking at late October dates at this point. But I'm able to get, special dates on Mondays and, another bulk, I know another bulk filing attorney is able to get dates on Wednesdays. So they've brought in this judge. So we are able to keep things moving a little bit faster than what had been going, but it's still a slow, grind to find dates and times and to get them moving. But we've got a pretty decent judge who's been helping us out, and he's been he's pretty understanding of the landlord's plight, though his hands are, tied like the rest of us when it comes to putting people out. But we've done pretty well getting judgments in front of him since this all started. And then other than that, the city is, I'm sure Kathy explained, we don't know for sure if what's going to happen on October 2nd. I've got a client of mine who called me yesterday and would like me to sue Judge Burleson. So we'll see. I'll have to talk to Kathy about that one.
Yeah. I want to go after the county first, and then I think, I don't know.
This
So
is the one with the mentally unstable gal who keeps yelling and screaming. And I told her to send her tenants down to get restraining orders, hopefully forcing her out. Maybe they'll do that.
Yeah, I was going to tell you on that one. I think you should refile as a 441.
She hasn't directly threatened violence is my only hesitation.
Yeah, well, that's what Rex wants us to do. So do it. And then if that doesn't work, at least I'll be able to tell him that. And if it does work, then still good.
Well, now that I've got my Monday dates, maybe I can do that.
Okay.
All right. I'll talk to my client about that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll ask Rex if he'll waive the court costs.
Okay.
Yeah. That's something we've been kind of laughing about around here is, well, maybe we can get the courts to waive the court costs on all this stuff, which causes great hilarity because they're never going to waive the court costs, but we can ask.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right.
So I just went on this National RIA website, and I'm probably not a member, so I'm not seeing the webinar.
So if anyone wants to do some bootleg webinar rebroadcasting on Zoom, let us know.
It's not that hard to do, actually.
Screen share and through Zoom, yeah, you can probably get it done.
You can, yeah, there's ways.
Well, Chris, if you could figure that out for me, I would like to watch that webinar.
Oh, that is a, if somebody wants to sit and shut up, if somebody who has access wants to figure it out, then let me know. I'm only slightly more Zoom proficient than Kathy, and she's probably done more of it than I have doing all the county dockets.
Mhm.
I know how to go in the breakout room.
That's great.
Yes, this pandemic has been an opportunity for great personal growth for me. I can tell you that.
Yes, the learning curve has really curved. Yes.
Well, let me see if I can call Nash and see if I can get a hold of someone at National Re and see if I can get you guys access to
Yeah,
it.
tell them that we
let me see if I
be lawyers who would file suit here in St. Louis if we had some backing from them.
Yep, I'll get on the phone as soon as we're done and see if I can get through. I can't guarantee I can find anyone, but you never know. I'll try.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Right.
I appreciate it.
No problem. We do too.
Did somebody else have a question?
Yes, I had a quick question. As a precautionary thing, would it be wise or perhaps unwise to send out letters to the residents, to the tenants, and just kind of saying, hey, you may have heard this in the news, you know, just kind of, hey, this isn't really a good idea, or better to just stay in our little corners and see what happens?
Tell me about your tenants. Do you have a lot that are delinquent?
No, I don't have any yet. And the properties where I have tenants currently are actually in other states, because I just started investing here in St. Louis. But I have heard some, thank you. I have heard some attorneys just kind of saying, you know, if you'd like to just get some precautionary letters out, you can, and kind of saying, you know, the mortgage is what allows me to keep the property to keep you safe. It's also what allows me to pay for maintenance on the property and blah, 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 keep the property up to snuff so that you can have a safe place to live type thing. So if you can't pay your rent, you know, this isn't like a hashtag cancel rent and it's all good. Just because there are people that if they know they can get away with something, they will try, right?
Right.
I mean, my hesitation would be planting the idea in their head that this is out there for people who didn't hear about it. My suggestion would be more if somebody misses rent for September, maybe you send a letter saying, hey, I see you haven't paid rent. If you're having struggles, here's the contact information, the 211 number to get CARES Act resources, but maybe don't give them the idea that they can send you that declaration. Now, if somebody comes to you with the declaration, then maybe say, hey, just so you know, I understand this is your situation, but this is all going to be owed and due, and here's my, stance on it. I'll work with you, try to, hey, we can, spread out your monthly payment over, and all that stuff. But I wouldn't, if it was me, I would not invite the misinterpretation. Now, if they come to you with that interpretation of what the statute means, then you can explain that to them. But if anything, I'd be giving people resources on how to get you that CARES Act money than anything else, but only once they miss their payments.
And then the other question I had is I structure my leases so that they're month to month. Does that kind of keep me out of this whole thing? Because I simply just say, hey, sorry, not renewing the following month. And it does, I don't have to say why, I don't have to.
My interpretation on that one is, I've been telling people if you have someone on month to month, and Christine's been doing the same thing to her clients, and they're saying they're not going to pay because this, that, or the other, or they just haven't been paying, go ahead and terminate them before the end of this month. So that way, if you do decide to move forward, if they get current and you're fine with them, fine, you can always waive that. But then at that point, you could be able to sue them. I understand, there was some discussion on the CARES Act ban that was in existence as to whether or not a one that was based upon a pretext of non-payment of rent would be, would be allowed. But I think we could still get away with it because you don't have to have a reason. So I do think you would be good on that one if you had to.
And is that customary in St. Louis? Just me being new here, those are leases I have structured both in Colorado and Florida. Could I structure leases in St. Louis so that they always are month to month?
I have clients that do it. They do it for a lot of time. They do it for people that, for their buildings where they have to put people in there that are not typically your greatest credit check folks, people you're not quite sure on. And some people just prefer it that way. If they're a problem, but if they're just kind of, they're not really violating the lease in big ways, but you just don't like you know, you always have to hunt them down for rent, or they're just kind of a jerk. So I have plenty of clients who just, that's their policy, is they like month to month. And so it's not something that judges here aren't accustomed to. So you'll be fine if that's how you like to run your business.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That's super helpful.
So I just sent you, John, the whole CDC order. And I think it has the text of the affidavit as part of it that the tenants would have to sign if they want to invoke that, so that you can post that on
Yes.
your website.
Thank you, Kathy. We'll definitely share that. Thank you so much. Yep. Wow.
Anything else, folks?
Wow. A lot of changes and a lot of unknowns, it sounds like.
It's been a busy week. It's been a busy week.
Wow.
And I hope you are all well. I mean, I kind of be interested to know, are most of you getting paid? Are your tenants still on top of stuff?
So far.
Good.
So, Kathy, for this fund that you're collecting money for, do I need to make out anything special? Just make it out to you guys? And
Just make it out to us, yeah.
I don't want you mixing it with something we owe you for.
No, just make sure we know that's what it's for. Otherwise, Carrie will be confused
That's what I'm
trying
saying. I
to
want to
find,
make sure it's
trying to
not
find the
applied.
invoice.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we're keeping it in our client trust account. We did disperse a little bit out yesterday for doing, getting the motion ready and that kind of thing. And so we're tracking it, and hopefully we'll win quickly and have money to refund. But if not, we're glad to have the money. I've got some other lawyers in other law firms who have more expertise than I do in federal constitutional issues, who are working up stuff on that. And it's good to be able to pay them, because otherwise they probably wouldn't, work. Yeah.
And one thing I would ask everybody, I just ask this to all my clients and anybody, if you get any of this CARES Act money, let us know, because I want to see what it comes with. I'm really curious to see if there's a sheet that explains so I can tell all of my clients what to look for, and we can tell everyone here what to look for. Because again, we are concerned that people might cash checks and then waive the rest of the rent. And I would assume it will come with some sort of, notification that that's what you're doing by cashing it. But I'm partially worried it's just going to checks and a show in the mail and everyone's going to cash it and move on. So if you guys get any of this money from the CARES Act, particularly, from for your tenants who are behind and from the city, that's where I'm dealing in. But, let us know and kind of what you're getting, and also take it for your own protection. If it doesn't cover everything they owe, take a look at it to make sure that you're not agreeing to waive everything, because it comes from different sources. So you might get it with no strings attached, or there might be the fund that does. So it's something to keep an eye out. And I've been asking everybody, so I can, once one person gets it, which is still, we haven't seen happen yet, I want to know what they tell everyone else what they can expect as far as documentation and whatnot. Because I know for the city, at least, you are able to hold on to that check until the end of December. If they still are paying back the rest of it that is not covered by the check, they have given us that authority to hold the check. So you're not technically you can keep it, but not waive everything. But it's something to keep an eye on.
Not cash it.
Yeah, not cash it. Hold it in your file, and then at the very end, if it's a $2,500 check and they get their balance on $2,500, you can then at that point cash it, and they're back to good standing with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
we don't want anyone to get, inadvertently tricked into waiving a bunch of money or, that kind of thing. Initially, they were having some really unrealistic expectations about how much money the landlords were going to waive. And I think we've kind of set them straight about that.
Yeah.
And they've raised limits that people can get and, that kind of thing. So I guess there's been a little bit of progress in that respect. I just think we don't know a lot of landlords who have gotten any money yet. And Chris,
they are letting us stack resources now.
Yeah. So a tenant can get money from more than one agency.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I just have a question. Hi, how you guys doing? I've been listening in. I just have a question about a particular circumstance. My dad has a fourplex in St. Louis City, and one of the tenants is in the hospital now for some kind of underlying medical condition. And there's a woman living there who is not on the lease, and the rent hasn't been paid yet. The grace period is till tomorrow. And she refuses to leave. She's not on the lease once again, and he's wondering if there's anything he can do. I mean, he can't evict them obviously now because of this moratorium. So he's wondering what can he do in this circumstance.
Chris, you want to take that since it's city?
So, there's a woman there that at least, or it's on the original. Who signed the original lease?
The guy who's in the hospital
Okay.
signed the original lease, and it was just him on it.
All right.
And I think it's his girlfriend or his lady friend who's living there now. And yeah. Also, they changed the locks without telling him, and he doesn't have the spare key. So.
And
he
where does
tried
the
to get
lease
in.
stand? Is it month to month or in the middle of a lease term?
I believe it's month to month because he's been there for about 20 years.
Okay. So what you have to consider it as is it's the guy who's in the hospital, still the tenant, and she's his guest. So you're going to be acting as if exactly like he's in there, and he's, either you're terminating his tenancy for his month-to-month tenancy was probably the most likely avenue you're going to go. You could also hypothetically, if she's not paying rent now that he's in the hospital, you could file a rent in possession and get the case to court. And if, God smiles upon us and we can ever, put someone out for not paying rent, we could go that route. But you can't, you have to basically treat it as if he let her in there, it's as if he's in there at this moment. So whether, her being in there alone does not doesn't change how you have to act as far as evicting them.
Okay. And also, he gave them a notice that he wanted to enter the apartment to do some maintenance because she said that the electricity, some plug wasn't working. And she hasn't given him the spare key.
Right.
That, so he's wondering, and then he tried to get in after the notice was expired. He tried to get in and she called the cops on him. So he's wondering, can he actually go into his property without having that spare key?
He can go into it. I've told people when, in similar cases where people have changed the locks. I mean, if you desperately want to get in and get a key now, she can call the cops and the cops are going to tell him to leave. Even though he has a legal right to be there, the cops are there to, whenever there's an argument, to just make everyone go away. So every time, you have a right to do it, but every time if she's going to call the police, then so be it. If if she's ends up not being there when you come over, he could drill the locks or replace it, but you have to provide her with a set of keys to that. So that's, and if she's not there, it could be problematic that, if she comes home at 2 a.m. and the, the locks have been changed, you might be some liability there for hypothetically a hotel stay or something like that. So it's.
Okay, I'll let him know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Our telephone number is 314-962-1115. And for an issue like that in the city, ask for Chris. Or he also does Jefferson and St. Charles. For the county, ask for Christine. And for anything else, ask for me.
Okay, I can Google you guys at Davis and Tagliani, right? And I can get that number.
Yeah, I was trying not to make you spell Travellini, but yeah, you can.
Okay, great. I appreciate that.
Our phone number is, oh, and then there's that whole thing about the crappy Google reviews. If anybody wants to go on Google and give us nice reviews, we have tenants who have reviewed us who aren't so fond of us. So,
I bet.
Yeah.
Hey, Kathy, when you guys tried to go on National RIA, I haven't heard back from anybody on the email I sent that surprised me. Did you click on did you go to the COVID-19 updates and click on there's a red box that says, when that opens, it says oppose the current CDC eviction moratorium and then emergency membership call. Did you click on that? Because that seems to open another window that you might be able to log on with, even not being a member.
It just, it doesn't say that. It says, learn how to use voter voice. It has some boxes on the right about Seller Finance Coalition, media releases, real estate journal, ROI.
Kathy, try that link I just posted on the chat. It's what this caller is talking about.
Okay. Real wealth investors.
Yeah, that's the link that opens up when you click that red banner.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. It looks like maybe we could access it.
Yeah, it does look like it.
Yeah, and all you got to do is, I mean, I don't know if there's once we get to join the meeting, there may ask us for a password that we don't, only secret members have, but we can, if you.
Yeah, normally Well, I don't know because it normally goes right through. So let me look at the confirmation. Thank you for registering. Meeting ID. I don't see it has a meeting ID number on here. I mean, there's a phone number. Doesn't say I can't share it. The phone number, U.S. dial-in number is, I'm trying to find, try 470-250-9358. And the member, I'm sorry?
It's having me fill in my name.
Mhm.
Okay,
So maybe I'm making progress?
yeah. Try it and see what happens. If not, I can share the phone number. I'm really sure they won't mind. I mean, they're looking for all the support from investors, and I don't think you have to have the secret decoder ring to help fight this.
That
Yeah.
link works. That link works. I'm on it right now. The one that Maria just put in there.
Perfect.
You can register on that one.
Okay.
Sweet.
Mhm. It says it's in.
More than one way to.
Well, let's see. Yeah, it says it's in progress. I don't know. I'm not going to take a chance on closing this one by going there, but it looks like
Well,
it's
I was
going-
just going to say that if I click meeting in progress, do I lose you guys?
I think so, but I'm not sure, so I'm not going to do it right now.
But you can do it, Kathy, and I'll stay on and talk.
I'm going to do
The
that.
meeting doesn't start to 1 p.m. Eastern. That's noon our time, so it shouldn't be starting yet. I wouldn't
It says
think.
it's in progress when you go to register, and you have to join is what it's giving me right now.
Yeah, I'm going to click it and see if it does anything to me, and then I can tell Chris and he can tell you guys what's happening. So
Great.
Okay.
if this is it, I'll see you guys next week, or I'll see you on this meeting.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Thank
Thanks,
you so much.
everybody.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Anybody else have any questions while Kathy figures out
Thanks.
if she can?
I have one more question if you're willing to entertain it. I was thinking about buying some properties potentially at the upcoming tax sale, which is
Mhm.
October 6th. And
Are
now
you
I'm
talking
thinking
St. Louis County or St. Louis City?
city. But the same thing would apply to the county maybe. I'm thinking maybe not such a good idea because I don't know if they're going to be owner occupant. I don't know if they're going to be tenant occupied. I don't know what the terms are going to be, and potentially I'll own something that I
Yeah.
can't really get to perform.
I mean, I would hope that by the time and I don't think tax sale necessarily has the same protection as the foreclosure for that purposes. Now, generally what I tell people, the problem whenever you have a tax sale and it's tenant occupied is a lot of times you have to go into a situation where you're not the victim, file a separate eviction suit. Now, when you confirm the sale on if it's owner occupied, you can get an order that says they have, they have to go through, you get possession. Now, what generally we tell people to do, we used to do tax sale litigation, and the law changes enough, and we weren't keeping up with it. So we refer everybody I refer everybody to a guy named Dale Sweet.
That's the guy who I was given his contact.
Yeah, he is a great guy, and as far as I know, the most knowledgeable attorney in the city about as far as tax sale stuff in the area. So,
okay. I'm breaking up the right tree then.
Yeah, no, he's going to be the one that I even think he was telling me about a way he was trying to get people when you buy it, if you pay more than what's owed in taxes, he was finding a way to get people refunds for the overage on what was left over on the taxes.
Oh wow! Okay, awesome.
So that's something that I don't know where he stands on that. That was a couple of years ago when I talked to him. But
I'm in that screen where it says, please hold.
Yeah, I was going to recommend him too. If Chris hadn't said that, we've had Dale come to our meetings when we were meeting in person several times talking about tax sales. So and I've consulted him myself. So he's a good.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Beyond being a good attorney, he's a nice guy, and I like him a lot. So Kathy says she was able to access the meeting, so I'm sure she'll be there at 1 o'clock.
Yep, I've got it open to it. Just says, please wait. The meeting host will let you in soon, so it doesn't start till 1, which is sweet. Great.
All right.
Great.
Anybody else have anything else before I get back to telling all my clients how they can't put their tenants out. And so I feel like half of my time is spent not making money, lowering client expectations, which is just the perfect customer service way to maintain business.
Oh,
Those Google reviews are really going to look good.
Yeah, we're used to being able to be this, the authoritative expert, that I can have your tenant out in this and that time. Now I'm going, you kind of just got, it is what it is. And it's sad because I've got clients calling me up talking about, they're not going to pay their mortgage next month. And, I don't have other than directing them to some resources that, we've talked about in this thing before about landlords who can't afford to pay their mortgage, can hopefully qualify for assistance just like the tenants can. But I've not heard anybody who's been successful in that yet either. So I think the landlords are in the same boat. But you see things on CNN, yesterday it was being all around Twitter and everything like that, of these videos of these little old ladies getting booted out. And I'm like, where's the CNN video of the guy who's, bringing in criminal elements and that we can't put out. So, it goes both ways.
And what are the videos of the folks that have worked a lifetime to build, to build something, to have some income when everybody else is sitting home watching television? They're out rehabbing properties, cleaning toilets, changing floors. Where's the videos of that?
Yeah, well, it doesn't get as many eyeballs. So we're never going to win. We're never going to win the PR battle on this. All we can do is hopefully, hopefully, have enough sway that we can win the legal battles. The problem is by the time the legal battles are happened, how many people are going to be having to sell off or get foreclosed on in the meantime.
right.
So it's already happening. I mean, I've seen a few properties popping in the market and tenants are there and we can go inside and look at anything.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating.
It's, hopefully Congress steps in and, it does as far as giving more relief, more PPP that small landlords can access and things like that. But right now everyone's pretty dug in and, it's not helpful that we're, 2 months away from an election. So everyone's, got their posturing that they have to do in order before we can actually get folks help. So it's, we'll see. Everything changes every day, but so far, hopefully most of your tenants keep paying. And I don't think the CDC order is as bad as was initially advertised for the landlords. I think we can challenge people who are lying and not trying. So hopefully it encourages more people to try and, in that. So, but if you guys get any of these declarations from them, let us know. We want to, we can, particularly if you think they're full of it, and are on disability and haven't lost any income, we think we can be successful challenging that in court. But hopefully it doesn't come up. Hopefully all your tenants keep paying and don't go down that route.
Ideally.
All right. Anything else?
I have a side question for you, Chris. Is Greg, the other attorney in your office, is he busy right now?
He is right now swamped in the middle of an appellate brief he's been working on. So it's I'm sure he'll get to everybody eventually, but I know he's been holed away for the last few days working on a deadline for that.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Okay, we have
Anybody
any other
else?
questions? Anybody else got anything else? Appreciate it, Chris.
Nope.
Tell Kathy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We so much look forward.
Thank you, guys.
To just invaluable information, keeping us updated. We thank you. You are the expert, and I do want to thank you as the expert and as our friend also.
Okay, well, we love to help. So hopefully things start, we're due for a break eventually, I assume, Yeah, hopefully one comes.
I did put your card on there as a file. I don't know if that's going to show up, but please do go to our website and contribute any amount that you can towards the writ that they're doing here, because this is just it helps us all.
Yeah, we're hoping that hopefully if we're successful in the county, it'll give the city judge something to think about when it comes to him extending his own. So that's what we're hoping, to kind of give everyone an idea that they can't just do it. I don't wonder if after the CDC order in place, the judges don't amend their orders to coincide with the CDC order. And if that was the case, we can live with that. it's not as great as, no orders, but if they were to coincide with the CDC order, I wouldn't have a big problem with that because it would allow us to get the people out who aren't trying and are just sitting in there doing nothing. So that's maybe the CDC order could be a blessing in disguise if it gives the judges cover to just mirror the federal order and go from there. So we'll see. Things kind of change on a weekly, daily basis.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. We really
All right.
appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
everybody,
Chris.
for coming. If you want to stick around, we are going to have the haves and have-nots, which is the